Hey guys, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. It's been a couple of weeks since my last video. I've been busy with school and I got sick last week again, hooray. Today we're going to be doing a video on getting to the moon and back without dying and exploding. This is just a tutorial video for any of you newbies to Kerbal Space. If you don't have Kerbal Space and you're thinking about picking it up, then this video is for you. Anyway, let's get to it, shall we? Alright, we're going to start off with the Mark 1 cockpit. It's a pretty good cockpit. It's going to be our re-entry vehicle. It's going to be slamming into the atmosphere at around 3,000 meters per second, which is going to make a lot of nice fiery explosions. Hopefully not explosions, just a lot of fire and awesome stuff. Anyway, that parachute always makes me laugh a little bit because it looks like it's wearing a hat. Like one of those stereotypically English hats, you know, like the Fat Controller wears. Or is it? I don't know, is it that one? I don't know, or does he wear a top hat? I don't know. I'm just talking about kids shows. I miss being a kid. Oh well. We're gonna do something a little bit more different with the lander. Instead of just strapping a rocket underneath the bottom of the column, Anyway, we're gonna be using 4 rockets or engines around the outside, which will give you a lot more stability, but yeah, the drawback from that is that it's a bit less maneuverable when you're trying to land. So it does have its drawbacks, but in general it's pretty good for getting you down because it's got a lot more power for slowing you down. So you don't have to really guess when you need to start the engines up. I've had a few times where I start the engines too late and I'll slam into the surface of the moon, but with 4 engines it's a lot easier. But like I said, it has a drawback of being quite cumbersome. We're going to attach some solar panels and a battery, just because, I don't know why did I put that down there? Oh yeah, because in the new update, which came out a couple of days ago, you need power for essentially everything. So you can be going for a few minutes, and if you keep like moving around and rotating your ship, then you'll run out of power very quickly. So it's always good to put on a few solar panels just here and there, just to give you a little extra power, and put a battery somewhere. I do put on a few more batteries later on in the finished build. But anyway, I think I've finished with the lander for now. I'm going to go back and add a few things later. But at the moment I'm just building the descent stage, or the deorbit stage, which are going to use nuclear engines. If you don't know what nuclear engines are, they're the most fuel efficient solid fuel engines. The most efficient engine in game in general is the ion drive, although it's piss poor and it's blue. I like using it because it's like, I like the effect it has, but it's kind of useless unless you've got a really quite small craft, like a small satellite, or I don't know. Anyway, this is going to be the launch stage, which is going to get us into out of the atmosphere, into orbit, and hopefully to the moon. It's going to be asparagus staging. If you don't know what asparagus is, it's essentially just a spiral of engines and fuel. So you start off. I'm doing it in pairs at the moment. That makes it a little bit more easy, actually. Yeah. So you start off with attaching 2 pairs to another pair, and another pair, and another pair. So when you launch, one tank will completely drain, and while it's doing that, it'll fill up the others. So it's essentially like a line of fuel. It's hard to explain unless you see it. It's essentially just a spiral of fuel going around until you... I don't know how to explain it. It's a bit difficult, but I'll show you guys. I think you'll understand what you see in the video in a few minutes. And I think we're almost done. I just need to add a few little things like the RCS, and I think I put fins on the side just for stability, or I don't know if they actually were useful or anything. Ah, yes, of course, struts everywhere. They are your friend. Yeah. Make sure you get as much reach as possible, or at least as much... Okay, let me just restate that. When you're going in space and you've got a long ship like this, it'll tend to wobble. So to help stop that, you can see how I put those struts on the launch stage attaching to the descent stage. They're like vertical struts. Those will help quite a bit, although it won't fix the problem. It'll certainly help with not, having things blow up and rip apart. And so always just add struts everywhere. If you think it's gonna wobble, just attach struts everywhere. Okay, we'll put the RCS on, and got some RCS fuel, minor propellant. If you don't know what RCS is, if you're new, then RCS is essentially just a small engine which isn't really used for like maneuvers. It's just actually well, it's used for moving a ship around, like not actually like giving it any real delta V or anything or increasing its speed. It's just used for like moving a ship. Anyway, just doing a 180-degree spin of our ship. Okay, and the most important thing you need to know when getting to the moon is timing. You want to wait until the moon is just below the horizon, just about to rise above Kerbin's equator or whatever, not equator, horizon, just above the horizon. So you get your ship out onto the launch pad, you press M to go to the map view, and you press the period or full stop and the comma button to increase and decrease time acceleration until it's just below the horizon, like I just did there. We're going to increase to 2/3 power because I don't know if full power will destroy the ship or not, and launch. Let go, come on. Here we go. This is going to take quite a while to get to the moon. It took me about quite a few minutes, 15 minutes I think. So I'm going to increase speed up to like 4 times acceleration so you don't have to wait nearly as long. You can see at the bottom of the staging that the first engines or the first tanks go the fastest, and then the second stage and the second stage. I think you can understand what I'm getting at. If not, then there's like diagrams online you can go see. Oh yes, I also added extra struts. I didn't notice that the first time I recorded this. When I say that, I've actually tried recording the audio for this quite a few times, but with my voice going, it was just getting ridiculously hard to talk. So I forgot to do my gravity turn until about 20,000 feet. Usually you don't do that. You do your gravity turn, which essentially just means point towards 45 degrees. You usually meant to do that at around 10,000 meters, but I forgot to do it until much later because I was worried about the staging. As you can see there, my ship is wobbling like wet spaghetti. And there's a way of fixing that, which is to activate the gimbal of the engines. If you don't know what gimbal is, it's just essentially just points the engines out so you've got more maneuverability. I don't know if that will actually work in real life, but it works in the game. So you can see here it's shaking like hell. Activate the gimbal and it stops shaking, but the backdraw to that is it starts veering off in weird directions, which I don't know why it's doing that, it just does. So we're about to try and get in intercept with the moon. I go back and fix it because I want to get a closer interception, or intercept or whatever. I just want to get closer to the moon because this one isn't going to work as much as I'd like. It's around 200 and something meters above the moon's surface, so I want to try and get it a bit closer so we don't have to spend as much time fixing it up later when we actually get to the moon. Jebediah in the corner there, just enjoying himself. I love Jebediah. He's got such a nice relaxed view of life. If I could be anyone, I'd be Jebediah. Well, anyone in this at least. Ignorance is bliss, my friend. Maybe they just fill his helmet with laughing gas. Maybe they do. It's not oxygen they bump into his helmet, it's just laughing gas or helium, so he's always laughing at himself. I'm gonna time accelerate up to the moon. Here we go. Now, I've decided to ditch the engine on the back. That big long engine is not going to be very useful for landing, so I'm going to deorbit it, which essentially means just crash it into the moon's surface. And then I'm going to detach and go back and find a nice place to land my ship. It actually got further than I expected it to. I didn't realize how far I'd get on this asparagus staging engine. It was more efficient than I thought. So we're bringing down the apoapsis periapsis to... There we go. Unfortunately, I did this at night on the moon, so you can't really see what I'm doing, unfortunately. There we go. Getting back up to orbital velocity. Now, I don't like having my orbit kind of off kilter. This doesn't. I'm a bit OCD about these kind of things. It really doesn't matter when you're landing on the moon or anything. Actually, it doesn't really matter. I just like having it equatorial or something. I don't know. It's also a good practice if you want to get a satellite. If you want to have like interception with a satellite or whatever. It just makes things easier. Things being on the equator. And there goes our engine crashing towards the surface. Unfortunately, I make a mistake on my deorbit, on my landing, and I had to go back to a quick save, so that was that little jump cut that you saw there, or transition. I don't use this nuclear engine stage as much as I would have liked. I get enough fuel and enough power out of it as I need. I didn't think that that asparagus staging engine would get us this far. I thought I'd have to use the nuclear engines to get away from Kerbin and then land, well not land, but you know, deorbit and get a nice orbit around the moon. Using those solid booster engines to slow us down even a little bit more. I don't know why I'm spinning and doing things, it really doesn't matter. Here we go. We're just going to try and kill our horizontal velocity. Try and bring us down as straight and perfect as possible. So you want to put the retrograde marker on the blue white dot thingy. I don't know what that marker is called. Just make sure you're going straight up and down. It's the easiest way to land, just, or at least I think so. It might not be the most fuel efficient, but it sure is the easiest way. Now, you had a quick look in the cockpit there for a moment. The cockpit is actually incredibly useful, especially that little radar, altitude radar thingamabobby, because since the meters thing on top of the screen only shows like sea level meters above sea level, since the moon doesn't have actual sea, you can't really tell how high you are. So if you want to see exactly how high you are, look at that little altitude thingy in the cockpit and it'll show you your actual height. Just a little trick there, not really trick, but you know, feature. Want to check that out? Also, I think I mentioned earlier that 0.21, the new version of Kerbal Space Program, came out a couple days ago. I think it was the day after the anniversary of the moon landing in 1969. And I've had a quick look at it, and had maybe an hour in the game, just messing around with the new parts and the new hack gravity features, that kind of thing. And it's been pretty fun. I tried recording, but you know how I am with recording, I always mess something up. Anyway, we're gonna land, well, hopefully land now, but keep on making a pretty noob mistake, unfortunately, which is just bunny hopping. You get to a point where you're so close to the surface that you panic, and you put too much force into the engines, and you start moving sideways instead of just up and down, which can be pretty hell for your landing legs. So you don't want to land while you're moving sideways, otherwise you might snap up a leg or something, and that won't be good because you'll just tip over. It wouldn't really matter for this ship because it's got quite a bit of stability as is. You could land on the engines and it would probably be fine. But if you want to fix the sideways like bunny hopping thing going on, all you need to do is just get a few more meters of altitude and just correct it while it's up there. So here we go, coming down, there we go. And Jebediah is going to get out, plant the flag. Come on, Jebediah. One small step for Kerbal kind. Come on. Whee! Good job, Jebediah. Now that we have officially defiled the moon for all time, I think it's time for us to go home. Jebediah misses his family. Yeah, unfortunately that flag won't stay a penis forever. It'll eventually be bleached from the solar radiation. Unfortunately, that's not actually a real feature in the game. It would be cool if it was, though. You know how they planted a flag on the moon in 1969? That flag doesn't have red and blue anymore. It's just white because it's been bleached. Which is kind of sad when you think about it. Anyway, this is a pretty standard way of getting home from the moon. Just get your ship slightly in the atmosphere, well not atmosphere, but a few thousand meters above the surface, and just point east. That will get you home eventually. Just keep an eye on the map, otherwise you might get a orbit again, which won't be very good. You get like a negative orbit from the moon. You can see me just playing around with the markers. Here we go. Sorry if I'm not talking at this part much. It's mainly because my voice is going. Okay, that periapsis is just um just in the atmosphere. It's at 74,000 meters, which is not low enough for you to get into the atmosphere properly. You'll go around several times, slowly reducing altitude. But here, say you don't have any fuel left and you're stuck. Just get your Kerbal out of the spaceship and push. I've had this situation a few days ago where I had ran out of fuel and my periapsis was at around 80,000, 85, 75,000. I forget how much it exactly was. So I got my Kerbal out and made him push while he was at the apoapsis. If you don't know, that's the most efficient place to do anything in space. Or the periapsis. Apoapsis and periapsis, depending on what you want to do. So I've made Jeb push a little bit, and the periapsis is down to 24,000 meters, which is just enough for us to get into the atmosphere and land. We're going to time accelerate down to the planet so I don't waste too much of your time. I don't know why I didn't fast forward more on this, because I just thought I would be coming into the atmosphere very quickly, but oh well. We're going to detach the launch stage, well, the moon launch stage, about to come down very soon. Whee! Alright, here we go. Catching the atmosphere now. Got some nice re-entry effects happening. Little known fact, people assume that it's the friction with the atmosphere which makes the fieriness of a ship re-entering. It's not. It's actually the ship compressing the atmosphere in front of it enough that the air heats up, which is around like a few thousand degrees, I think. So it starts glowing, which is kind of awesome. I've always liked these re-entry effects as well. It does need a bit of an update or a bit of a redo. Even though they are amazing, they could be smoothed out a little bit more and maybe leave like an awesome smoke trail behind the ship. That would be kind of cool. But for the time being, it's pretty perfect. Those solar panels should not be attached. They should be flying like away. Anyway, I was actually surprised how fast I was still going. I was entering the atmosphere at around 3,000 meters per second. Here we go. Jebediah is gonna land in the ocean. Gotta go for a bit of a swim. He'll be home in time for crumpets and tea with his family. Unfortunately, I realized too late that I had left the sound effects off. So usually when you're re-entering the atmosphere, it's got like this weird like woo whooshing sound. What was that? Woo! I don't know. It has like a awesome like sound effects which come with the whole re-entering thingy wobby. I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm trying to not just get stuck on my own words, and I missed the opening of the parachute. Excellent. Yeah, I forgot to turn on the sound effects for re-entry. I don't know, is that ambient? I don't really know. Anyway, we're going to land in a few minutes, and Jebediah is probably going to be picked up by helicopter or the Navy or something like that. Only a few hundred meters from the surface. $80 meters. Come on, Jebediah. Splashdown. Come on. And there we go. Jebediah is safe, as long as he doesn't, like, catch some alien virus and skipping over. Anyway guys, thank you all for watching. Jebediah is gonna probably have to wait quite a while, or swim to land, that could be interesting. I'll thank you again for watching. I said that like 2 seconds ago. Oh well. Thanks. I'll see you guys some other time. I'm gonna do a video in 0.21, the new version. Anyway, bye.